Connect conference. We rolled out and began to utilize the model November 30th of 2015. So 6 weeks later, we have great confidence in sharing the model with you, as well as data about how it is impacting your experience as T2 customers. We have 2 presenters today. First, Adam Blake, our Chief Operations Officer, will describe the changes to support and how we arrived at this model. Then Tommy Kinsman, our Vice President of Client Services, will share what we have learned thus far from our implementation. We'll finish up with a Q&A about the new model. As we go along, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat directly to me, Michael Somm, and we'll address those at the end. Please also note that this session is being recorded. With that, I'll pass it over to Adam.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited about the changes that we're making in the support model. So Tommy and I wanted to kind of set up this webinar and give a current state on the progress that we're making. So as we grow as an organization by introducing new products and solutions to market, we want to make sure that we have the right processes and models in place that will help us grow the business, but more importantly, improve the customer experience at the same time. So we've been busy doing that for the last 6 to 7 months. I spoke to some of you folks at IPI in July, and then again, as Michael alluded to in the opening session here, again at Connect in November, where we talked about the support changes, and we actually announced our new support model. But not all the folks that are on the phone are aware of those changes. So the people that were at Connect, please bear with me for a few minutes as I kind of give the backdrop of the approach that we took in support. I think it's important that folks understand that we're just not making change for change's sake, that we're actually looking at the process to make sure that we're exhibiting and have the right process in place. So to walk you through this, our approach we took was pretty formulated. We evaluated our current state, our current processes. We looked at our current models. We looked at how our resources were aligned to support you. We checked the expertise and knowledge of our folks in support. We looked at, from a management perspective and a model perspective, are the folks empowered to support you and create this excellent level of customer service that you deserve? And then also, like everything, how are we measuring ourselves? So it's imperative that we have the right metrics in place to know how we're performing before you tell us that we're not doing too well. So we wanted to look at what those metrics are and how we were measuring ourselves. And then we took it to another level. We put ourselves kind of in your shoes, so to speak. We asked a lot of questions. We listened. We learned. And so in many cases, we reached out in multiple mediums. And if you're watching online, we have some slides that will walk us through some of this discussion. So in the different ways that we learned and listened was we conducted surveys that were sent out from a corporate perspective, but also the surveys that you answer around support at the end of when a case closes. So we actually do take that feedback and we look into that model, or look into the surveys in that response, I should say. We made proactive and reactive phone calls. I like the proactive ones. I said this at Connect, better than the reactive ones, but we took both of them and we took them serious. We planned extra gatherings at conferences when we got the chance to spend time with you. We also implemented a new product advisory council. We engaged our customer advisory board when we met with them. And then we also had the opportunity to visit some of our customers on site, and I personally had the ability to do that and learned a lot. In some of the other areas, we looked deeper into the interaction within the organization and what your interactions look like from a 2-2 perspective in the course of a business. So we looked at support tickets, our on-site visits, how you interact with our web tools, and more. One thing that you'll learn from me is I'm a big fan of the saying, inspect what you expect. And what I mean by that is you can't just assume that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So we should clearly set expectations internally and externally, and then make sure we're inspecting that and checking that. So how we did that was we literally tried being a customer. We called and experienced the support process firsthand. Tommy and I did that in July, actually, where we called both the T2 support line, and then we also called the digital support line. And we found our results that we found were a bit surprising, I think, on both levels. And I'll go into a little more detail on that. So what did we find from all this listening? We've gotten a truer picture of what it's like to be a T2 customer, what your experience is like, and to be quite honest with you, it's been a lot of effort, right? And some of that is just based off of the simple process that we had in place and improvements that we had to put in place. But what we had to do is we had to kind of break down the feedback, and we kind of broke that down and put it into a couple buckets. The first one we looked at is you told us that we needed to improve our support experience, that it takes too much effort, especially on the Flex product line side, to get a support case resolved. You also told us that you have to go through too many steps and too many people to fix a problem. You also were very clear on that we must improve our testing processes to get better at finding and resolving bugs before we roll out new releases. And then that rolls into the next one, which is what is our communication around changes and how are we upgrading you so we don't impact your operations. And so those are kind of the four buckets, if you will, that we really took action around, and we started looking at how we improve that. This feedback you gave us, really is going to make us better, and so I wanted to make sure that we have listened and we have learned. So it kind of goes to what have we done, and this is what I announced in November and went live actually November 30th. It is our new support model. So what is our new support model? We blew up our current one, and what I mean by that is we took a fresh approach. We turned over stones, we flashed lights into the dark corners of our organization, some of the things that you have to do to clearly understand where are the breaking points and what's happening within the organization. And we built a support model that will provide a positive customer contact, as well as getting you to a person that can solve your problems faster. So we want to do this quickly and efficiently while keeping you updated. So those were the guiding principles of the model that we established. So from all your feedback, this is perhaps the biggest fish that we had to fry in terms of improving your customer experience, and so that's what we took on head on. So when you have a problem, clear and simple, you need us to be responsive, transparent, and reliable. And that's truly how we're holding ourselves accountable internally. So when I go back to the inspect what you expect, this is our measuring stick. When we start looking at are we being responsive, are we being transparent, are we reliable, are we there when you need us? So to understand the changes that we made in the model, and I'll go through the actual the process changes that we made, I first want to touch on what our previous support models are. So I'm not sure if everybody understood that. So you kind of need to understand where we're coming from to understand the improvements. So first off, there were two distinct support models. One was the Flex product line, and the other one was the digital product line. These different models did not intersect, nor did incidents pass from one team to another team efficiently. It was a manual process that the team heroed up and tried to do as best to their abilities. But it also very different in support models. So the people and their functions and their roles were very clearly different. So if I first take a look at Flex, the primary way for you to ask help is through our hub or portal. We did have a phone number, but that was largely used for after-hour support, or if you did use it, largely went into voicemail, and then we would return the call or email you back. But really it was targeted around getting you to the hub or portal to log a case. The model was set up in an 80-20 fashion, meaning 80% of the cases that were submitted to support would be resolved by level 1. So level 1 was the first entry point. So they would sit there and try to answer 80% of the questions, and then the 20% would get passed up to level 2. So this is a pretty basic model. It was actually pretty similar to digital, and I'll walk through the digital process in a second, but the whole idea is 80-20. 80% level 1, 20% would spill over into level 2. Level 2 would then take that 20% and work those cases, and then 80% of that 20% would actually go into other areas of our organization, such as level 2, which is more of our enterprise experts, engineering, or network operations, depending on what the issue was. Our findings and the result is that we outgrew our 80-20 rule for Flex. We spent way too much time in level 1. They were trying to resolve the cases as best their ability. More cases came in, and it became a bottleneck. Once you got to, if they did escalate and need more help to level 2, it was almost like starting over again. The work previously done by level 1 would then not get transferred to level 2, and so it seemed like you guys kind of took a step back in level 2. And then if we needed another heightened level of help from the level 3 engineering or product teams, it would take too long, sometimes weeks to get an answer. So that was kind of the model, the way it was. Again, this model worked when we were smaller and we had fewer products. And one example of that is digital. So let me walk through the digital, and it's actually very similar. The digital perspective in support, how it's vastly different is the primary way a case is opened in digital is through a phone call or an email. It does they do have a portal, and we have had a portal for that team, but large amount of the cases came through phone or email. And then the majority of cases did get resolved from a level 1, right? So kind of the model of how T2 had it set up, but in digital, level 1 does answer a majority of the cases. If they need help, the difference is they pull in level 2 instead of passing it to level 2. And level 2 assists. And then if we need more assistance from other areas in the organization, we actually pulled in either engineering or network operations. But the whole communication from our support was either done through level 2 or level 1. And so that was kind of the process flow. That is kind of like the 80-20 that we described in Flex, but the difference is it's one product. If you look at digital, it's really one solution, one product, and our level 1 and level 2 representatives can really become an expert on that product line. And so it's imperative to understand kind of what that looked like for our path going forward. So with that as the backdrop, let's walk through our new model and kind of what were the key areas that we wanted to impact. And so we really had 5 key areas. The first one is human contact. I'm sorry, I should say 4 key areas. The first one is human contact. We want folks picking up the phone. If you need help, we want to be there and accessible. So we implemented a new way for everyone, that doesn't depend on what product you're calling about, to get a human contact and pick up the phone. The next one is being responsive. We can't have things sitting out there and not having any idea of the status or where the case is for you to get help. So we want to be responsive. We want you to know that we've received it and that we're working it. Ticket ownership was very important. We don't want you to get passed around to different folks in the journey, in the support journey. So we assigned an owner as it goes through the support journey. And we want to be outreaching, so we want to be more outbound, so providing more transparency with updates throughout the process. So as we work the cases, we want to make sure we're keeping you up to speed. So how are we accomplishing these goals? And this is where I'll walk through the changes in the model. First, from start to finish, your ticket will remain in the support structure, so you will not be bounced around to different areas of the organization, nor will you have to figure out how to navigate our internal organization. You will be assigned an owner of the case, and you would be able to contact that person for an update. This support team will remain the contact for resolution, and they are empowered to escalate to other areas of the department to ask for help, so pulling different folks in to help resolve. So if you look at how you file a ticket, we wanted to create a customer-friendly single entry point into support. So no matter how you file a ticket, it goes to one place and funnels to one place. There's 3 ways that you can currently, starting yesterday, we added the 3rd, but you can currently open support tickets. So number 1 is through T2 Hub or through the portal. The next is you can call a phone number and we will pick up with a live representative. And the other one is you can actually now email a case, and then that would be picked up by that same single point of contact as it comes through. So when you file a ticket, this goes into the new single entry point called Customer Care Team. And this is a new organization within T2. We combined the way the digital team has worked for some time and now put a front end to more of the Flex product line. So this is a single entry point. They gather data, they offer simple solutions when available, and then it moves quickly to a person that's equipped to resolve it. So understand what product it's having you're having a problem with, find out what the priority is, and then move you quickly on to someone that can fix it. And that next level is what we call the product experts. So really what we're doing is we're dividing our product teams from a level 1, level 2 historically into one group that is categorized by product. So these are true product experts, and they will resolve and own the resolution of your ticket. And so when we're talking experts, these individuals will focus on the products they know best. And we're currently working on a certification program to verify the expertise. So having these product experts will assist in resolving tickets more quickly. So think about, they're not swapping from a mobile app to a Flexport call to a Flex call or AutoCount or Parks. We're now specializing in different areas. And digital is just one of those product expertise teams. So think about we're scaling it horizontally by really getting experts in place that are in that product day in and day out. If the product experts need additional help, we will pull through from other areas within the organization. So enterprise experts, and these are folks that understand the solution in its entirety, that understands how they talk to each other and how third-party applications impact them. If it's engineering, if it's product management, if it's delivery teams, they will have the ability to pull those folks in and help them resolve the issue. So no matter what, you won't get passed around to these different areas, and you'll have a single point of contact to get updates. So that was very clear on our new support model to make sure you know who it's with. So in a whole, that's kind of the model. You open an incident, phone, portal, email. You have customer care, which is that new front line that is really around product isolation, quick triage, prioritization, and really assign to a product expert. So the idea of this is not to slow it down, to speed us up, to get you to that person that can solve your problem and not add a layer to slow you down. The next is product experts. These are issue owners. These are experts on the product, and they're responsible for the communication and closure of the issue. So you're going to be assigned this person, and this person is going to work with you on resolving your issues. If necessary, they will bring enterprise experts or other departments to assist in resolving it. So it's a real streamlined way to get your problem to a person efficiently and quicker with the most experience. So we tried not to make it complicated. We try to streamline it and make it efficient. If you're a digital legacy, or if you're a legacy digital customer, your model will remain the same. This type of support's been in place for digital product line for some time, which was really helpful and instrumental in helping us define this new process in these different key areas that we needed to put in place. So as I said earlier, this model was rolled out November 30th, and as all new processes, we had a couple of hiccups, and this is part of our transparency. We're working through some of these. An example of in week 1, we had significant problems transferring calls from internationally between U.S. and Canada. So some of you folks had to leave a voice message. The difference is our customer care team called you back within an adequate time period. I think Tommy will have the numbers when we start talking about it. But the difference is we did reply back. The problem was you weren't able to get directly to a person. Secondly, our feedback loop on current status of existing cases is an area that we need to improve and we're focused in on. Is so how do we get that back channel back to you and better feedback loop is the other area. We've also found a couple of bottlenecks in the process that we're currently assessing and working to improve. So we're constantly tweaking it. So I wanted to give that as a backdrop of all the changes. What I'm going to do now is hand this over to Tommy Kinsman, who's responsible, VP of Client Services for our support team, to give you some of the results, some of our findings, how we're measuring, and our next steps. So with that, Tommy, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Adam. Good afternoon, everyone. So Adam's talked a lot about the big changes we're making in support, and I'm going to talk through some of the data points, some of the successes, and some of the next steps. But first of all, my first slide, I want to give you just a snapshot of what Adam and I spend a lot of our day doing, and it's our internal dashboard. We use it for measuring root cause analysis, deep dive, and resource management. We can look at it at any given point during the day and see that we're seeing a lot of priority 1 calls coming in, or if one of the groups in product expert team is maybe laboring with a number of cases that has come in, and we can use backups from another area of the support team to go help them. We can also look at some of those bigger things like trend analysis, where we're seeing our cases ramp up quarter by quarter and then dive in to see what's causing that. And it's all about the data for us now going forward with the big changes we've made. So on the next slide, we're going to look at the customer care group. When we put it in place, our goal was to provide you the best service possible with regards to picking up the phone. In the month of December, we saw 195 calls come through this team. Our average wait time was 11 seconds, and our longest wait time was 35 seconds. Now, we expect as more and more people start to utilize the service that those times will start to go up, but we're going to measure this month after month so we can benchmark ourselves. Then once we get to there, we'll continue to measure, refine our process, and give you that great service that we really want to give you. We want to go away from the days where we had a third-party answering service picking up the phone, and then eventually you'll get a call back from us. With a new service in place, we'll have people there that are taking the call straight away, and if for any reason there's no one available, they're calling people back within 5 minutes. So it's a really good change to how we're doing that, the customer care piece on the phone side. Outside of the customer care side of things, we really talked about, as Adam's talked about anyway, is the product expert. And one of the things we saw with the product expert team was that if we have them focused on a specific product or area, that we'd see resolution time drop because they're focused on the certain things that they're very good at. And on the next slide, we're going to look at ticket aging by the process. So ticket aging is pretty much the length of time the ticket is open for. And what we're seeing is some continual improvements in how we're lowering our ticket aging. We're not where we want to be, but as we continue to work our process and measure ourselves and refine ourselves, we're going to get down to a point where we want. But we're definitely seeing that downward trend now. And as we're seeing with a lot of things, it's now getting to the point where the average age of most of our cases are within down to a week, and in most cases down to 5 days. It's still not where we want to be as an end goal, but it's definitely going in the right direction for us. One thing that we do want to highlight is that our RMA team, so the RMA, for those that don't know, is Return Merchandise Authorization. So effectively, you sending a part back to us. A year ago, our turnaround time on those cases were up to around 50 days as an average. That can mean that you have a device down for 50 days. It means it's impacting your operational ability or your revenue stream. The team that's been working around the RMAs has really done a terrific job of driving down that process, again, by measuring and refining their process, and they've got it down to 4 days, which is a fantastic improvement for them. And that's the line that's in green on the chart. As much as the data is fantastic for us, it's also good for us to get some feedback. And we can go to the next slide. We got some really good input from the field. Our customers are starting to see the changes that we're making in the value that we're bringing to them. And it's great to hear our clients get quick turnarounds from support. It's a breath of fresh air compared to where we were before. But we've still got a lot of work to do. But one of our clients, the director of parking at one of our universities, stated that he got an opportunity to test the new support model recently. And to his delight, it was a smooth and quick process, and he was back up and running with the issue he had called in for that day, that same day. And our goal is that all customers are going to get that same level of experience of dealing with the new support model as we refine our processes going forward. And, you know, it's really all about continual improvement for us. And on the next slide, we can talk about what we're going to do with that. We're really focused on measuring and refining our process, and then repeating that step and continuing down that path till we get where we want to be. We're going to focus on reducing our response time, reducing our resolution time, which is very important to you, and what Adam mentioned just previously about increasing our customer updates and open tickets. There was nothing worse, I think, than before when you would open a ticket with us and we could have a support person working the ticket, but you weren't getting an update on where we were at with the ticket, so you felt that the ticket was just idle. So we're really driving some changes around that. We also believe very much so in the product expert model that we've put in place. And we're going to spend a lot of time building around that and building the resources and the tools and the certification program to make sure that that team is at the highest level they can be to give you the best service available. The other area we really want to make some improvements on is we want to revamp the T2 hub. We've driven a lot of customers historically down that path to open cases, but the problem is we found that it's not the easiest system to use. So we want to make getting support as easy as possible. Once we can make the changes to the hub, we'll look at other things such as like a chat agent. So you can log into the hub and chat directly with the customer care agent to open a ticket. But again, it's all about making support as easy as possible to you, the customer. And on that note, I'm going to pass you back on to Adam Blake to talk about his takeaways from the session.
So thanks, Tommy. Thanks for providing some of those insights and kind of how we're measuring ourselves. If you can't tell from that little presentation, we're putting a lot of pressure on inspecting what we expect and making sure that we are delivering the quality that we're delivering. You know, our team has been at hard work. We kind of took an out-of-box type of approach to improving our customer support. There's four real key takeaways that we focused in on with the model to improve your customer experience. The first was reducing the effort to ask help, and that's going to continue to be one of the pillars of driving us forward. And that's what, you know, Tommy talked about chat, improving our portal. I'll tell you what, walking through the steps to open a case right now, especially on the Flex side, or previously, I should say, through the portal was too many clicks is too much effort. We have to take that friction out of it. So we're going to constantly look at how do we refine and reduce that effort for you. The other thing is being responsive. It can't go into a black hole. We have to be able to give you the transparency of the cases and the information that you need. We need to get you to someone that can solve your problems faster, and that's really where we're going with the experts and making sure they are experts and making sure that they're there to support you. And then, again, keeping you informed, and that goes back to the transparency. So I know everyone reports to someone and people ask questions on where something is, and there's nothing worse when you say, I don't know. And so we want to at least remove that from the equation and make sure that people understand where things sit and what we're doing to solve it. So, you know, we have the KPIs in place. We are measuring ourselves, but we also would appreciate your feedback as you go through this transformation and this new model. I do ask one thing, and I did ask this at Connect as well, is please be patient with us. You know, there's a lot of change that we're implementing right now, and there might be a couple things that fall through the cracks. I don't want this to be viewed as an excuse. We will not use this as an excuse. It's just part of change and what happens when you're in a transformation like this. So with that, that was our update of where we are with our support model. Again, we are continuing to improve this process. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to any questions that folks might have that we can answer, and if not, then if we can't answer it today, then we will, or on the call, then we will take a note and definitely get back to everyone on kind of the answer to this question. So.
Thanks, everybody, again. Just a reminder, if you have a question, please send it directly to me, Michael Som, via the chat feature. One of the questions we had, just a clarification for Adam, who will be owning the case? Is it the customer care person or is it the product expert?
It's a great question. It is the product expert will own the case. And so the case, you'll get transferred once, which is the customer care agent will take your call or receive the incident, and they'll evaluate what product expert is the right one for that case. That's the one transfer that you're going to have. So you'll get assigned an expert. There's some metrics in there like load balancing. You know, some folks might be familiar with the different areas of the product where we want to get you to the right person, but they will own the case. What we are doing, and Tommy, you can speak up too if you want to add something, but what we are doing is the customer care agents are also helping us, keeping us honest. So they're looking at auditing and making sure that we're getting our response back. So while the customer care agents don't own the case, they're also helping clean and make sure that we're responding.
Yeah, that's correct. We're having them used to that.
Okay.
Thanks. Another question we had come in, will tickets that are already in progress be moved into the new model?
Yes, and Tommy, I don't know if you want to handle that, but yes, we have been moving them now. That's part of our bumpy road that we're doing. There was cases that were old that we are now cleaning up and working through the model. I don't know if you have any update on that, Tommy.
No, there's only a few cases left that had been moved out of support that we're bringing back under our control again. So it follows the right model going forward.
Another question, somebody's saying they had a couple of open cases at the moment that are a week or two old, and they haven't gotten much feedback. Adam was going to address that.
Yes, I would like to know who that is, and then once I get that, Tommy and I will take a look at that and make sure we understand what that is. One of the things that I didn't really touch on is the upgrade process itself, and so we are also changing that, and we didn't really talk too much about this or at all in this presentation, but we are looking at how we're doing upgrades, and we're trying to get to a more white glove type of approach on upgrades. And so I have a feeling that that might be somewhere in limbo there that we'll need to make sure we understand why that's not being addressed. So what I mean by the upgrades and white glove is that we're really getting close to understanding what that looks like. Unless this is and then Tommy, from a digital standpoint, is there any outstanding cases that we need to be aware of there?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can definitely look into it.
Okay. So we will, if you can send, I'll throw my name out there, adam.blake@t2systems.com, a note, and I will get with it. Also, you can also send an email to Tommy as well, and we'll take a look.
We have another question. Will this new model include keeping customer records current? They've had some cases where tech support doesn't know if they're hosted or have a test site. Tommy, would you want to address that?
Yeah, we're going to work internally with the other stakeholders to make sure that all of our records are up to date in our CRM for that. I know it's been a problem in the past, and it doesn't look very good when we have to ask a customer what they have. I currently don't have a timeline where we will be able to have everything in place, but during the upgrade processes that we're working on, that's where we're catching a lot of the information and keeping our data as clean as possible.
Another question, I think this would be directed to Tommy. Specific to the digital products covered by a third-party extended warranty, how will the process integrate into their systems?
With a third party, as in through a reseller?
Correct.
The process will work exactly how it works today. The reseller would be the point of contact for the end user of the customer, and then the reseller would contact us. The reseller pretty much acts as level 1 support and does all of the basic troubleshooting and preventative maintenance and break fix type calls for the client. And then if they need additional help, they would contact the customer care group to get pushed through to a digital product expert to help the reseller.
Another question we have here, this would also be for Tommy. Somebody asked him, will we now submit cases to the hub for digital support and for product enhancements?
The existing digital support process is all in place. So if you want to go through the digital hub or email digital.support@t2systems.com or call the normal 1-800 number for support, you can go through that for digital, or you can go through the T2 hub and the customer care agent will push it forward to the right team. With regards to enhancements, though, I don't know if that's getting looked at for the digital product line, but I can look into that for sure.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that we are going to be able to answer today. If there are specific questions that you didn't get answered, we will reach out to you directly after the session and get that followed up on. Thanks again to everyone who joined us today. Enjoy the rest of your day.